statement. Please raise your hands for questions.
Just reviewing the Mississippi State game, it's pretty much kind of what I thought when I watched the game live. We've done some really good things offensively. We turned the ball over twice in the red area in the first half, which didn't help us there. We missed some throws. We had some guys open there that could have created some explosive plays. But one of the big positives out of the game was the way our offense took over in the last 8 minutes of the game, had a 91-yard drive. It was very positive. We challenged them to do that. They did that. Defensively, probably wasn't as clean as I was expecting on Saturday. We've got to be cleaner when it comes to execution. But I thought our guys played hard. Effort, toughness was not an issue. Guys played hard. They found a way. Getting 3 turnovers was really, really good. Probably had an opportunity to get a couple of more. But the defense done a nice job kind of controlling the line of scrimmage, really on both sides of the ball. When you look at special teams there, felt like we had an opportunity to block a kick there, and we didn't get it done. We had a penalty on kickoff return, so it was our worst drive start of the year when it comes to kickoff return. We set the tempo with the opening kickoff. Samaglia continues to kick the ball extremely well, but overall, there was a lot of positives in the fact that we said we want to be problem solvers, we want to find a way, and there was some adversity in the game, and whether it was injury or penalties or whatever, and our guys found a way to have success. And beat a good football team. So I'm excited about that. It's positive for our guys, positive for our program. And then you look at who we play this week, and in Alabama, I think probably one of the best teams in the entire country. Obviously, starts with their quarterback and wide receivers. There'd be very few NFL teams that probably could rival that part of their football team. They're skilled players. They got really good offensive tackles. Defensively, they've had a few injuries, but there's lots of guys with lots of experience that are playmakers. You can look at their signing classes over the years. They just kind of plug and play somebody else. Coach Saban continues to do a fantastic job. He loses coaches, and they continue to have success. Steve Sarkisian on the offensive side, I worked with him there for a year in Tuscaloosa, and guy's got a phenomenal mind when it comes to calling the game and imagination offensively, and they're doing a really, really nice job there, keeping people off balance. I said this last year, and I'll say it again this year. They have to really work hard not to score 100 points a game. They have to work hard, and Coach Saban's been kind. He was kind to us last year. He's kind to a lot of teams last year, almost to the point, does it hurt their football team down the road because they don't get an opportunity to play 4 quarters? Because there'll be a point in time they're going to have to play 4 quarters. So it's probably why this year that I've seen them in there a little longer, but really good football team, good on special teams, good all the way around. So be a tremendous challenge for us. I'll take any questions.
David and Steve.
Jeremy, how would you compare that last drive from you guys from an offensive line perspective to, I guess, the rest of the season or your time here? How did that last drive stack up from what you saw?
We had an opportunity to have some success running the football Saturday. It might be one guy here or there. We've got to be more consistent up front, but I felt like in that drive we were cleaner probably than any other drive, for the year. Our running backs hit the correct holes in that drive there. And we blocked well on the perimeter, so it was a really good drive. We probably had 3 or 4 opportunities to throw the play to Tyler out there that we didn't. We probably ought to take advantage of to make it easier on us. But it was a really good drive.
Steve, and Vince.
I believe you were an assistant at Alabama back in 2011 when they had that 9-6 game with LSU, and now those programs are the two highest scoring teams in the nation. I'm just wondering, can you imagine a scenario nowadays where an SEC game with that much at stake might not have a single touchdown scored, and why do you think the league's kind of evolved the way it has to the point where now the two highest scoring teams are both from that league?
Well, it starts with playmakers. You know, you can look over for a bunch of years there at LSU. They've always had great skill players. You know, they just had a certain way they chose to play. Same way in Tuscaloosa, there was a certain mindset of how they wanted to play the game and win the football game, and they had success. You can probably look. I don't know when it kind of changed there in Tuscaloosa. I don't know. Are they having any more success when it comes to winning national championships now as opposed to then? I don't know. But they definitely have a lot of playmakers. It's given them an opportunity to recruit some of the best skill players in the country based off how they play. But most of those guys, I was there when those guys signed there. Most of those guys signed, you know, because of the quarterback that was coming in, right? So good players want to play with good players. You know, but it is, you never would have thought that about LSU, right? I'm with you there. So we don't play them this year, so I hadn't had an opportunity to watch them a whole lot. I did watch them Saturday night. And, you know, they've got the same skill players. They just really got a quarterback, and they're willing to throw the ball down the field. It was, to me, just watching. They're putting the game away in empty formation. So that was shocking to me, I will say.
Vince, and then Blake and Aaron.
Coach, when Brian Maurer was flipped over and fell on his head, he played a couple plays after that. Can you kind of talk about, you know, the evaluation and him being looked at after that?
I mean, he's got a concussion. So he hit his head on the ground. He's got a concussion, and we took him out of the game. Didn't know it till he come out of the game.
Blake, then Aaron.
To follow up on that, Jeremy, should he have been evaluated right after the play occurred?
I don't know how you could, you know. I mean, he hit his head on the ground. He jumps up and runs back in the huddle, gets a call, calls the next deal. You know, every play, there's a lot of people running into each other, all right, and they're hitting their heads. So, I mean, I guess we could stop the game and evaluate everybody out there, you know, but I don't think we have time for that.
On an unrelated note, whose idea were the orange uniform pants on Saturday, and do you expect maybe we'll see them again at some point this season?
Well, I'll be honest, I didn't even know we had orange pants, okay? So I just asked Hawk if we did. He said we did, so I said, well, let's wear them just to kind of change it up. So we did. I can remember growing up seeing, you know, Tennessee in orange at times. Not a whole lot. It's been years and years ago, but we just changed it up.
Eric and Rob.
Tyler Bird had a, touchdown ceiling that really sealed the win. His role this year has kind of been on special teams, but made some plays for you yesterday as a receiver. Do you see him playing more receiver this year? Kind of what is his role offensively moving forward?
Well, you know, he's played in every game on the offensive side of the ball. So it just so happened the balls went to him in this game, you know. So it was good, and he took advantage of it, and it was good to see. You know, Tyler works hard out there. He's really worked hard on his hands, improving his ball catching ability, and that was good to see because he's always been able to run and is a kind of a strong runner. So he took advantage of the opportunity.
Coach, you guys were so good in the front seven defending the run on Saturday. Was that a reflection of just kind of hitting a home run and how you schemed them up, or is that guys getting better and executing better?
I would say that it's probably a little bit of both. I mean, I felt like our coaching staff done a nice job having our guys ready for what they do. We are changing the line of scrimmage a little bit more. Are we where we need to be? Heck no. Got a long ways to go before we, stay on the other side of the line of scrimmage and control blockers and, have a good understanding of exactly how to play it up there, but we are improving. We're young up front. They'll continue to get better. So it was good to see.
Brian, Jesse, Rick.
A couple of house cleaning things. One, what's the protocol for Brian this week in terms of when will he go back to practice? You feel like he's going to be good to go on Saturday. Two, the last 2 weeks you've moved coaches around in terms of who's up and who's down. What's the advantage to having Chris Rump and T. Martin on the sideline compared to where they were at the start of the year in the booth?
Yeah, Brian took some reps last night at practice. So, I mean, he's going to be fine, I'm sure. But with Chris, it starts with his position. There's lots of inexperience there, so just felt like that was the best move for us. And with T, you're sitting there. We play the most guys at that position where they roll in and out, and making sure that we get an opportunity to get guys on the field. So a guy like Tyler Bird has an opportunity to catch a few balls, right? So I felt like that gave us the best opportunity to have the best substitution plan for our wide receivers.
Jesse.
Just as kind of a follow-up to some schematic stuff, you talked about how well the guys the assistants kind of had in the game plan on Saturday. Tennessee hadn't had 7 sacks in an SEC game in more than a decade. Did you feel like in terms of the pass rush particularly, the players really executed the plan on some of those pressure packages y'all implemented?
I think so. I think we guarded them a little tighter too. And hey, their quarterbacks held the ball probably, maybe when they could have got rid of the ball. But, there's probably a little bit of combination of everything. We were improving up front. We've done a nice job. Our coach has done a nice job getting our guys ready to play. Our guys executed the plan and probably covered them a little better in the back end.
Rick, Austin, Marshall.
Hey, Coach, they're all important, no question about it. But this particular team against this program that you spent some time with, does it have any extra special meaning for you at all?
Well, if you know anything about this rivalry, which I do, anybody that's been associated with this rivalry over their lifetime, right? It's a pretty special event, if you want to call it, or ball game, or whatever you want to call it. To me, it's an event, right? The third Saturday in October, the third week of October. So whether you're on the Tennessee side, the Alabama side, kind of all the old heads, so to speak, this is the rivalry, right? So this is the game. So, I grew up watching it, had an opportunity to play in it. I've had an opportunity to coach in it now on both sides. So it is this week does have gets you a little bit kind of going right there, I guess, so to speak.
Austin, then Marshall in the back.
Coach, can you just talk about Ramel Keaton and Jared Means and what those guys have done the last few weeks, and especially Ramel? Is this something you've kind of seen coming, his addition to be able to be a guy that can make some plays down the field?
Ramel's made plays really all camp, going all the way back to last spring. He's been a really good playmaker. With Juwan, Marquez, Palmer, it's been hard to get these guys on the field. The first couple of games, we played Brandon Johnson too, so it was an opportunity. It's one of the reasons we wanted to move T down on the field, because we felt like our top 3 guys were probably playing more snaps than they probably should. You start getting the 65-plus range. That's a lot, especially we're kind of working on about 67 scholarships right now. These guys are also playing special teams too. So we had guys that we felt like can play winning football, but you kind of got to have a feel to when to put them in the game. And it's a lot easier for T to be right there and grab them and put them in, as opposed to telling somebody from up top. It's just tough to communicate that based off working on one line on the offensive side from the play caller, giving the plays to signal in. You don't want somebody piping in, hey, put this guy in the game, put that guy in the game. So you kind of got to have a feel. So we just felt like it was better for us to get T on the field so we could do that.
Marshall, then Patrick and Gene.
Jeremy, you talked about this Alabama offense having the ability to score 100 points per game if they wanted to. How do you handle that defensively? How do you handle that mindset going in when you're coaching these guys this week, handling an offense with that firepower?
Well, starts with having a plan. Got to have a good plan. Got to know who their playmakers are, which I think everybody does, right? They stretch you all over the field. You got to be able to take something away. You got to be able to play in space. You got to tackle in space. I mean, do they throw the ball down the field? Sure they do. When you look at them throwing the football, they throw the RPO game a lot. So there's not a lot of protection when it comes to the offensive line. They're blocking a run play. They will also, protect with, 6 to 7 guys lots of times. Maybe even 8 guys and run 2-man routes when they're in heavier packages and push the ball down the field. But they throw every type of pass you can imagine out there. They've got good players that they're throwing it to. They do a nice job in protection. And when they want to run the football, they've had no issues running it. So it's hard to find a weakness on the offense.
Jeremy, a couple things on Trayvon Flowers. Is there any chance he comes back this season, or is he out for the year? And also, Jerome Carvin hadn't played a whole lot the first month of the season, played quite a bit Saturday. How do you think he did, and kind of what led to him getting on the field?
Yeah, Trayvon had a lower leg injury, and so we'll find out a little more this afternoon about him. But Jerome Carvin's a guy that he played a lot of snaps last year and probably wasn't ready. He's a true freshman, and he was a guy that, we actually considered, possibly redshirting this year, depending on how things went. But you kind of get to that point, you got to look and see how guys are going to develop. We've had so many moving parts on the offensive line, starting with, Chris Aparichny had injured his knee and had to have surgery, and then he pulls his hamstring. So you don't know what this guy's going to do. Darnell Wright gets here and was not here during the spring. So talking about really 2 freshmen there, and Jackson Lampley's another guy. You really don't know what you're going to get out of them until you start in fall camp. Had some injuries, had some guys there that we had to move around. So and then you got Trey. What's going on there. So just trying to kind of figure all that out. In the last week, you look at Jerome and say, okay, should we redshirt this guy? And redshirting is not a bad thing for offensive linemen. There's lots of them out there that have done that. It's kind of a developmental position, but you got to be smart with it. But we decided not to. And so he got an opportunity to play Saturday and played okay.
Gene, and wrapping up with Wes.
Jeremy, seems like Nigel Warrior's kind of stepped his game up in the past couple of weeks. Just what have you seen from him?
I see a guy that has really developed over the last 22 months. The habits of what he does on the field, off the field, in the locker room, being a leader. In the classroom, Nigel has really matured. He's a good leader on our football team. He's worked extremely hard to improve his game, and I see some confidence there. That probably wasn't there when we first got here. So I think he's playing his best football right now.
Final question, Wes.
Jimmy, I'm sure you have no intention of giving us your game plan for this week, but with Henry out for a bit there, how many options are there at that spot, and how creative do y'all have to get? Is there anything kind of left in the cupboard to throw out there?
I was thinking about there's a high school team over in Arkansas. They always onside kick. Okay, they never punt. Because I don't know. I've never seen them play. I always hear people talk about it. In fact, they played one of the high school teams here in our state this year. Somebody was talking about it. So we've really kind of considered that as our game plan. just don't give them the ball, if we can do that. So, I don't know. As far as the other part, we'll play Batuli and we'll play Q, we'll play JJ, Solon, Aaron Beasley, ever who gives us the best opportunity to have success.